Ah, you must be the Arcane University's newest addition. This humble battle mage bids you welcome. Before you start your journey studying the mystic arts, how about a quick history lesson? And learn about the very founder of this organization, Vanus Galerion, the Great Mage. We will start by going through 3 different texts, all going through different aspects of Vanus's life. In Galerion the Mystic by Asgrim Kolsgreg, we will learn the details on his origin, how he came to study on the Isle of Artaeum. In Origin of the Mages Guild by the Archmage Salarth, we will learn the origins of the Mages Guild. It's kind of self-explanatory, really. And finally, Mannimarco, King of Worms by Horacles. We'll discuss his rivalry with the King of Worms himself and his inevitable demise. If you would like to follow along, you can find your copy of Galerion the Mystic right here in the Arcane University, inside the Lustratorium. During the early bloody years of the Second Era, Vanus Galerion was born under the name Trectus, a serf on the estate of a minor nobleman, Lord Yernarse of Solichus on Ker. Trectus's father and mother were common laborers, but his father had secretly, against the law of Lord Yernarse, taught himself, and then Trectus, to read. Lord Yernarse had been advised that literate serfs were an abomination to nature and dangerous to themselves and their lords, and had closed all bookstalls within Solichus on Ker. All booksellers, poets, and teachers were forbidden, except for within Yernarse's keep. Nevertheless, a small-scale smuggling operation kept a number of books and scrolls in circulation right under Yernarse's shadow. When Trectus was 8, the smugglers were found and imprisoned. Some said that Trectus's mother, an ignorant and religious woman, fearful of her husband, was the betrayer of the smugglers. But there were other rumors as well. The trial of the smugglers was non-existent, and the punishment was swift. The body of Trectus's father was kept hanging for weeks, during the hottest summer Solichus on Ker had seen in centuries. 3 months later, Trectus ran away from Lord Yernarse's estate. He made it as far as Alinor, halfway across the Somerset Isle. A band of troubadours found him nearly dead, curled up in a ditch by the side of the road. They nursed him to health and employed him as an errand boy in return for food and shelter. One of the troubadours, a soothsayer named Heliand, began testing Trectus's mind and found the boy, though shy, to be preternaturally intelligent and sophisticated, given his circumstances. Heliand recognized in the boy a commonality, for Heliand had been trained on the Isle of Artaeum as a mystic. When the troupe was performing in the village of Pontanza, on the far eastern end of Somerset, Heliand took Trectus, then a boy of 11, to the Isle of Artaeum. Magister of the Isle, Ichesis, recognized potential in Trectus and took him on as pupil, giving him the name Vanus Galerion. Vanus trained his mind on the Isle of Artaeum, as well as his body. Thus was the first Archmagister of the Mages Guild trained. From the Sigics of the Isle of Artaeum, he received his training. From his childhood of want and injustice, he received his philosophy of sharing knowledge. If you would like to follow along on Origin of the Mages Guild, you can find your copy right here in the Anvil Chapter's living quarters. The idea of a collection of mages, sorcerers, and associated mystics pooling their resources and talents for the purpose of research and public charity was a revolutionary concept in the early years of the Second Era. The only organization then, closest in aim and structure to what we know today as the Mages Guild, was the Sigic Order of the Isle of Artaeum. At the time, magic was something to be learned by individuals, or at most, within intimate covens. Mages were, if not actually hermits, usually quite solitary. The Sigic Order served the rulers of the Somerset Isle as counselors, and chose its members through a complex, ritualized method not understood by outsiders. Its purposes and goals likewise went unpublished, and detractors attributed the worst evils as a source of the Order's power. Actually, the religion of the Old Order could be described as ancestor worship, an increasingly unfashionable philosophy in the Second Era. When Vanus Galerion, a Sigic of Artaeum and student of the famed Ichesis, began collecting magic users from around Somerset Isle, he attracted the animosity of all. He was operating out of the urban center of Firsthold, and there was a common, and not entirely unfounded, attitude that magical experiments should be conducted only in unpopulated areas. Even more shocking, Galerion proposed to make magical items, potions, and even spells available to any member of the general public who could afford to pay. No longer was magic to be limited either by the aristocracy or intelligentsia. Galerion was brought before Ichesis and the King of Firsthold, Realus XII, and made to state the intentions of the fraternity he was forming. The fact that Galerion's speech to Realus and Ichesis was not recorded for posterity is doubtless a tragedy, though it did afford opportunity for historians to amuse one another with speculation about the lies and persuasions Galerion might have used to found his ubiquitous organization. The charter, at any rate, was approved. Like a tree from an acorn, the Mages Guild grew branches all over the Somerset Isle, and gradually, the mainland of Tamriel. There are numerous records of superstitious or sensibly fearful rulers forbidding the guild in their domains, but their heirs or their heirs' heirs eventually recognized the wisdom of allowing the guild's free reign. The Mages Guild had become a powerful force in Tamriel, a dangerous foe, if a somewhat disinterested ally. There have been only a few rare instances of the Mages Guild actually becoming involved in local political struggles. On these occasions, the guild's participants had been the ultimate deciders in the conflict. As begun by Vanus Galerion, the Mages Guild as an institution is presided over by the Supreme Council of 6 Archmagisters. Each guild hall is run by a guildmaster, assisted by a twofold council, the Master of Incunabula and the Master at Arms. The Master of Incunabula presides over an additional council of 2 mages, the Master of Academia and the Master of Scry. The Master at Arms also has a council of 2, the Master of Initiates and the Palatinus, the leader of the local chapter of the Order of the Lamp. One need not be a member of the Mages Guild to know that this carefully contrived hierarchy is nothing more than a chimera, as Vanus Galerion himself said bitterly, leaving Tamriel to travel other lands. The guild has become nothing more than an intricate morass of political infighting. And finally, if you wish to follow along with Mannimarco, King of Worms, go down to the Mystic Archives. You will find a copy on display right here. O sacred Isle Artaeum, where rosy light infuses air. O where towers through flowers, gentle breezes flow, softly sloping green-kissed cliffs to crashing foam below. O a springtime afternoon, housed within its border, this mystic mist-protected home of the Psijic Order, those counselors of kings, cautious, wise, and fair. 10 years and 30 since, the mighty remnants fell. 2 brilliant students studied within the Psijic's fold. One's heart was light and warm, the other dark and cold. Matter ladder, Mannimarco, whirled in a deadly dance, his soul in bones and worms, the way of the necromance. Entrapping and enslaving souls, he cast a wicked spell. The former, Galerion, had magic bold and bright as day. He confronted Mannimarco beneath the grey Sephora Tower, saying, "Your wicked mysticism is no way to wield your power. Bringing horror to the spirit world, your studies must cease." Mannimarco scoffed, hating well the ways of life and peace, and returned to his dark artistry, his paints, death and decay. O sacred Isle Artaeum, how slow to perceive the threat. When the ghastly truth revealed, how weak the punishment. The ghoulish Mannimarco from the Isle of the Wise was sent. To the mainland dawns beauty, more death and souls to reap. You have found a wolf and sent the beast to flocks of sheep, Galerion told his masters. A terror on Tamriel has set. Speak no more of him, the sage cloaks of grey did say. 'Twas not the first time Galerion thought his masters callous, unconcerned for men and myrrh, aloof in their island palace. 'Twas not the first time Galerion thought 'twas time to build a new order to bring true magic to all, a mighty Mages Guild. But twice the time he left, at last, fair Artaeum's azure bay. Oh, but sung we have of Vanus Galerion many times before, how he off the Psijic's chains, bringing magic to the land. Throughout the years, he saw the touch of Mannimarco's hand, through Tamriel's deserts, forests, towns, mountains, and seas. The dark grip stretches out, growing like some dead disease, by the dark necromancers, collecting cursed artifacts of yore. They brought him these tools, mad wizards and witches, and brought blood-tainted herbs and oils to his cave of sins, sweet akaviri poisons, dust from saints, sheafs of human skin. Toadscruels, roots, and much more clutter his alchemical shelf, like a spider in his web. He sucked all their power to himself. Mannimarco, Worm King, world's first of the undying liches. Corruption on corruption, till the rot sunk to the very core. Though he kept his name Mannimarco, his body and his mind were but a living, moving corpse as he left humanity behind. The blood in his veins became instead a poison acid stew. His power and his life increased as his fell collection grew. Mightiest of their artifacts, long cursed since days of yore. They say Galerion left the guild, calling it a morass. But untruth is a powerful stream, polluting the river of time. Galerion beheld Mannimarco's rise, through power sublime. To his mages and lamp knights, before my final breath, face I must the tyranny of worms, and kill his last on death. He led them north to cursed lands, to a mountain pass. Of those who survived the battle say, it like was never seen. Armored with magicka, armed with ensorcelled sword and axe, Galerion cried echoing, Worm King, surrender your artifacts and their power to me, and you shall live as benefits the dead. A howl laugh answered. You die first, Mannimarco said. The mage army then clashed with the unholy force obscene. Imagine waves of fire and frost, and the mountain shivers. Picture lightning arching forth, crackling in a dragon's sigh. Like leaves the battle mages fly, to rain down from the sky. At the necromancer's call, corpses burst from earth to fight, to be shattered into nothingness with a flood of unholy light. A maelstrom of energy unleashed, blood cascades in rivers. Like a thunderburst in the blue skies, or a lion's sudden roar. Like sharp razors tearing over delicate embroidered lace, so at a touch did Galerion shake the mountain to its base. The deathly hordes fell fatally, but heeding their dying cries, from the depths the thing they call the Worm King did rise. Nirn itself did scream, in the mages and necromancers' war. His eyes burning dark fire, he opened his toothless maw, vomiting darkness with each exhale of his breath, all sucking in the fetid air that felt the ice touch of death. In the skies above the mountains, darkness overcame pale. Then Mannimarco Worm King felt his dismal powers fail. The artifacts of death pulled from his putrid skeleton claw. 1,000 good and evil perished then, history confirms. Among, alas, Vanus Galerion, he who showed the way. It seemed once that Mannimarco truly died that day. Scattered seemed the necromancers, wicked, ghastly fools. Back to the Mages Guild, victors kept the accursed tools. Of them living still on death, Mannimarco, king of worms. Children, listen as the shadows cross your sleeping hutch, and the village sleeps away, streets emptied of the crowds, and the moons do balefully glare through their nightly clouds. In the graveyards people rest, we hope, in eternal sleep. Listen, and you'll hear the whispered tap of the footsteps creep. Then pray, you'll never feel the Worm King's awful touch. And that was that. Yeah, there is a couple more things on Vanus Galerion's life that are depicted in ESO, but I decided not to go into that because I want this to be strictly Oblivion focused, so whatever information I can find in the game is the information that I will be presenting. So yeah, if you have any suggestions for lore books you would like me to go through, let me know. I'll check it out. Could be fun, could be cool. You know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna try to make as much as I can because I'm having fun with this. I'm having a lot of fun with this. Yeah, that's all I really want to say. Bye.